Do you count your trials as joy? Or is it, watch out?
No, I think I'm similar to Alexis that in the moment, and this is not every moment, right? It depends on the situation, but a lot of times if I'm in the moment, I'll become reactionary, and I don't know that I'm considering that reaction joyful. But in reflection, I can see like the beauty or the gift of the moment and allowing myself to see that I did react, if that makes sense.
One thing I notice about me is that my default is like, get right into that defensive position and try to figure my way out of it. Not saying that I don't catch myself. Sometimes I do, sometimes I'm just already, it's already up to there, right? But most of the time my default is right into defense. And that's kind of interesting to me.
Something I was thinking about while we were having the service, and actually kind of what Troy said, and to piggyback off what Nick said about kind of like let go and let God, like Jesus take the wheel, is like in the moments of reaction, I'm not trusting God. Like I'm not fully in trust to know that like even if the situation is bad, like he's still gonna, like the right outcome will happen, like the right thing is happening even if I see it as negative. So I don't know, I don't know if it is believing the thoughts like not being in trust with the Father. Like are we stepping outside of that trust? And I don't know, it's just something I was thinking about in the service. And I think in those moments for my personal self, when I do react, I'm not trusting like, oh, this is happening for a reason and I have to just accept it.
I think that when I do that, it is because I don't trust. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that happens most of the time that's the default. Sometimes I can see that, oh, you big dummy, come out of it, right? And I can come out of it, but not always. So sometimes I truly don't trust in it. And, but there are times where I do see it. You are caught up in this and this is nothing. And another thing I kind of learned too is that if I think that it's bad, I just basically almost ruined the whole situation because it may not be bad. You ever seen those videos of people who just barely get out of harm's way? Car drives by and they're like, in that person's mind, although sometimes there's not enough time to think, right? And you hear people too say, if I would have thought about that, I'd probably be dead. In those moments, if we think that something bad probably is going to be bad in the end. But so one thing I'm learning is that even if it looks horrible, doesn't make it horrible. And you said something a little bit earlier than that, or somebody said it, that God's going to take care of everything. He literally takes care of everything. We're just supposed to watch and kind of see, right? And if I think about my life, I ain't missed a meal. I got a roof over my head, right? I got a job. He's literally taken care of my whole life. So if you could avoid using words like, that's horrible, that's bad, oh no, if you could avoid using those, do it. Because that immediately kind of blocks you. Because at that point you're stuck.
I think too something that's interesting is like when you were describing the people who are learning how to use a firearm and their physical body will like resist the experience. And I've noticed in myself when I react, sometimes it's like an automatic physical body
Absolutely.
thing that I'm not even thinking about. It just happens. And so it's like, is that just something your thoughts have just occurred in that same way over and over and over so many times that you're physical body now responds in that way. And to me, I think that's another moment of like not having trust too, because you've allowed the fear, I guess, to consume you to the point that now your body is responding to it.
I'm going to say two things, but the one I want to remember, I'm going to say first. I don't know that you should say to yourself that you don't have trust. You don't know. And I say that because that's kind of like saying, oh, that's bad. Oh, I don't have trust. You know, you're kind of putting something on yourself. And you don't know, because you might just be seeing in that moment that you're just in your thoughts. But if you say, oh, I don't have trust because of that, then you might be doing more harm to yourself than good. I said what I said about firearms because I noticed it then. But I also notice me when I'm nervous, and if I'm anxious about something, I'm like this. It just so happened that I saw it through this person, these people, when I'm physically training them. But if I look at myself, when I get nervous, you know, you're just like, you seize up in a way. So if it was me, I would just, once I notice that I'm all tense, I would just kind of just notice that and don't say a word about it, just kind of notice it and let it go. Because at least that way you're not putting something on yourself. Oh, I don't trust God. Because the fact that he showed you might mean that you do, so.
And that's just living in the thoughts again.
Totally, yeah.
Telling myself, judging myself. Okay, thank you.
And like I said, it's not, well, I'm in them and I'm out of them. I'm in them. So
I really relate to that.
okay. Lijie in the back. Thank you for that.
You just triggered like an idea where even with the placebo effect, like I do think it's really interesting how there's this like wave of like the teaching of the law of attraction and the placebo effect and positive thinking. And what I have come to realize is that, you know, you don't know like who you are like praying to, and that what is like for you, that God like intends for you, no one can take it away. It is like forever, and it is good. And you know, even going back to your original question with the verse from the Bible, like really learning to be grateful for everything that God brings into our life. Like just listening to everyone talk today, I just realized that there have been moments where I didn't realize that it was a blessing in the moment, because my thoughts, I wanted a different outcome instead of the one that was happening in the moment. And because I wanted a different outcome, I couldn't appreciate the gift that God was giving me in that moment until like later when you reflect, like, wow, that was a great, like, you know, that person was wonderful, or you know, the job was actually really good, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of people do that. They got it in their mind what they think they want and don't have a clue. And you're right, can't be appreciative of what they really have. And what they have would get them right on through, so.